Hello, beautiful tribe, and welcome to Magic Month of June. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Karila, and I am from the Starlight Temple. And I would be very grateful to those of you listening live if you could let me know that you can hear and see by using the chat box. Wonderful, lovely to see that you can make it live, Claire. And hi, another Claire, two Claires. Great that you can both make it live. And welcome to Magic Month of June. I have to say that June is one of the most exciting months I have ever researched or tuned into. Um, uh, in all the years of running Magic Month, and so I'm very, very excited and happy to be presenting this webinar forecast for you all. For those of you that do not know Magic Month, it is an energetic astrological forecast for the month ahead, and it gives you an overview and insight into what is going to happen in the skies energetically, so that you can use that information to align, to work with the energies, and make the month the most positive month it can be. Using it to create more of your path, to using the dates for the right time for healing and manifesting and so on. So it's about aligning into what is going on energetically and astrologically by using this forecast information. And like I said, June is really, really, really exciting, and so I'm very excited to be presenting this show tonight. And so let's begin. So when you're ready, closing your eyes and feeling the muscles around your eyes relaxing as you breathe in love and breathe out gratitude. Breathe in love and breathe out gratitude, feeling a column of light from the center of the universe pouring down into your energy field, instantly raising your vibration as this light travels down through you into the heart of Great Mother Gaia, and bounces off the heart of Great Mother Gaia and travels back up through you into the heart of Source, so that you are held in a two-way flow of love and light. And in this two-way flow, give yourself permission to be held fully. And as you do, feel your aura, the dance of colors and energy patterns that are unique to you, stretching out in all directions around you. And as your aura expands, feel it being sealed from top to bottom in white and golden light, so that only love and light can enter into your energy. And a foot away from the edge of your aura, feel the violet and rainbow flames wrapping around your aura, so that any energy released from any direction can be instantly transmuted into love and light and sent wherever it is in the highest good for it to go. As you open your heart to Mother Earth, Feel a grounding cord from your belly, going down through all the different layers of the earth, down into the iron core crystal in the center of the earth, feeling the iron in your blood vibrating with the iron at the heart of great Mother Gaia as she brings you into divine alignment for all that you are meant to release and all that you are meant to receive. Trusting that in this moment you are exactly where you are meant to be, in perfect alignment for your own evolution and potential realization in this time of great ascension. And as you come into this trust, as a settling into stillness, feel the male, female, and unity parts of your heart melting together, bringing you into the experience of the one heart. Feeling your heart beating with the heartbeat of the earth, beating with the heartbeat of Source, beating with all hearts on earth and all hearts in spirit. As you feel your heartbeat belonging to the heartbeat of the universe. Feel the ancestors of the rainbow prayer in circles and celebration with you now as a chamber of light is activated around your energy field, helping the opening up of your spiritual DNA body with transmissions of amplification light that will radiate through you for the duration of this webinar, preparing you for the Kara potential transmission at the end. And as you experience this energetic activation, preparation for coming into more of your potential, notice how you feel. Many of you will be feeling heat and tingling in your hand chakras as they are being activated, so that the potential of what you have to give, your greatest path, can be more embodied through this sacred transmission of light and prayer. And as you settle into this light activation, open your heart to the rainbow prayer that you are living. Feeling the prayer as a happening across all of Gaia and all of humankind collective consciousness. and invite yourself to belong to this prayer within the beauty that is happening now. Opening your heart in loving kindness to yourself, and opening your heart in loving kindness to those you are sharing this webinar with. Feeling all of this human kindness and love flowing to you, through you and from you. And allowing the parts of you that need to receive this love to absorb. As you open your heart to this webinar, asking the sacred wisdom of your heart, why am I here? Why was I called to listen to Magic Month of June? And letting the answer come to you upon the language of inner knowing. As you breathe in love and breathe out gratitude. Breathe in love and breathe out gratitude. And when you are ready, opening your eyes and coming into the room. And so, those of you that know Magic Month will know that I really love my webinars to be co-creative. And so I invite you all to share about how you are feeling, to use the chat box if you're listening live, to share your own insights, your own wisdom, to share your intentions as we open this forecast. What I loved about the opening meditation is just how celebratory the energy is that's coming through. And I think once you've heard the forecast, you will understand why there's so much celebration. Beautiful, Elsita, to listen, to be heard, to be free. Yeah, freedom is a huge theme of June. It really, really is. Yes, and I agree. I'm so glad, Claire, you're feeling the shift in energy. It's like, ooh, aliveness. And so June is all about potential. It is all about receiving potential, coming into potential. It's just brimming with opportunities for potential to change, potential to heal, potential to live with more freedom and more truth. And I'm really seeing from all your lovely intentions about new beginnings and expansion, that you're connecting into this potential, which is really, really exciting. And great that some of you are feeling your hands being on fire, as the guides said would happen. And so I'm going to go straight into the forecast because I'm so excited. So June is amazing. Like I said, it's about potential. It's about transformation, and it is about crystallining. Crystallining is basically an energetic process that happens through a combination of heat and pressure energetically, that basically means we become more diamond-like, which in terms of the human body and the human life means that we are able to hold and radiate more of our soul, more of the light of our soul, which means that we can live more of our greatest path potential. And so some of you might already, some of the people in my other groups and courses and stuff are already starting to get quite physical symptoms as we approach June. And that's because of the crystallining. There is just something that is energetically happening for all of the DNA of the planet, basically. And we are, of course, part of the planet, and it is part of our ascension to become more crystalline. We can actively and consciously get involved in that process, and that accelerates the ascension process and accelerates us into more of our greatest path potential. And the best time to do that is within the eclipse window, which I will be talking about. There's also a huge theme of DNA in June. So the healing potential of June is very much about healing the spiritual DNA, the ancestral DNA, the DNA wounds and traumas and blocks that are no longer of service to us. And so on the first really exciting date in June is June 3rd. And on June 3rd, Venus starts a new cycle. And the Venus cycle astrologically is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful, amazing things. So what Venus does as she dances with the earth is create what's called the Venus rose, and it's literally a perfect piece of geometry, and it happens over an 8-year cycle. And so I've put up a picture of that rose. That's what the dance between the earth and Venus make in the sky. Isn't it amazing? Over 8 years. And basically on June 3rd, the last 8-year rose comes full cycle and completes, and then the new 8-year rose begins. Why is this important? For lots of reasons. So firstly, the dates are just incredible. The Venus rose, the one that's just completing, started forming in June 2012. And the 2012 cycle is the cycle that has just completed in terms of our path and our collective consciousness. I'm so glad you think it's amazing. And yes, it does look like a Jericho rose. And I think it's so amazing. And, you know, it means that the 2012 cycle comes into full completion. So those of you that know Magic Month will know that for the last 6 months, maybe longer, I've been talking about us coming into a new path cycle, and there's been loads of astrological alignments for it. And the first kind of cycle of ascension was in 2012, began in 2012 and went up until the winter solstice, really, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, the December solstice at the end of last year. And since then, and especially since the eclipse, the last eclipse window, which was in December and the beginning of January, this whole period between then and basically June is us leaving that old cycle and starting a new ascension path cycle. And this Venus rose is kind of the final piece of that puzzle, because everything astrologically and energetically actually happens in stages and happens bit by bit. And you know, Venus is really, she's the ruler of the heart, of love, of self-love, of beauty, and of the feminine. And the last Venus cycle that she was conducting was all about healing the deep and karmic wounds of the feminine. And my guides say that this new Venus cycle that is beginning, and this is whether you are male, female, or a unity person. This is not about your physical gender, but it's about the energies of the feminine. So since 2012, a lot of us have been doing a lot of work on healing the wounds of the suppressed patriarchal feminine under this old Venus cycle. And the new cycle is, according to my guides, all about coming into the crowned feminine and what it means when the feminine is crowned. And so the sovereign feminine, the light-filled feminine, it's going to mean a surge in the rise of the divine feminine and all that it stands for in nature, in life, in leadership, in ourselves and our path. This new cycle is that the journey into the becoming of the crowned feminine, which considering corona means crown. The whole corona thing has been really helping that clear the space for the crowned feminine ways to arrive and be remembered and be surged within us. This new crown feminine cycle is about heart-based living. And one of the things that my guides have been channeling about is, I love that the goddess is coming and she is pissed. That's very funny, Jess. Yeah, I mean, it is time for, as my guide said in December, angry, horny witches to really rise up. But one of the things that my guides, excuse me, I am in lockdown with two very lovely dogs that like to bark a lot. So one of the things that my guides have been channeling about is that at this time we're living with two hearts. We're living with a Piscean heart, and we're living with a that is dying, and an Aquarian heart that is forming. And Venus is kind of the planet that is in charge of the heart. And so this new beginning of the new cycle is really where we're going to start to be feeling the rise of the Aquarian heart within ourselves, within our ways, within our self-love. And yeah, exactly, Alcita, the feminine dogs are rising up. And so this kind of early June time is really like a completion. I feel like a lot of you will be having closure and integration on the journey that you have been on in terms of your heart, in terms of your self-love, in terms of your feminine, since 2012, which I just invite you to close your eyes and think about that incredible ascension cycle and the journey that you have been on since 2012. And completion is embodiment, it's arrival. It's like with this completion of the old Venus flower, the old Venus rose, we are going to be arriving into that person that we were visioning and healing towards and working towards. And at the same time, who we are going to be is also being birthed within our hearts, within our self-love, within our feminine energies, within our relationship to the beauty that is happening now and life. And so the beginning of June really holds a lot of new beginnings. It's a very, very powerful time to be making ceremonial commitments to the self and being like, right, I'm giving this up, or I'm starting this, or it's a very powerful time to be starting your path. And astrologically and energetically, I think with this crossover into the new path cycle, obviously there's been a huge amount of change socially with lockdown and corona, but we've also I feel like we're going to start to really be feeling it, if that makes sense, with this final piece of the puzzle with the Venus rose completing. Straight after that, we then go, and like I said to you, you know, this whole preparation that has been going on since the last eclipse in December. And straight after that, we go into the most amazing eclipse window. And those of you that know Magic Month will know that I am obsessed with eclipse windows. Like, eclipse windows are my absolute favorite time to do my self-work and my healing work and my deep core transformation work. And the reason is that every single time I do any kind of healing in an eclipse window, by the next eclipse window, it has shown up and manifested in my reality. And this has happened so many times that I am just like, eclipse windows are amazing. They magnify everything you do and they accelerate everything you do. And they really have such a bigger impact on, until you're kind of conscious on it and doing it, you don't realize what a big impact they have and what amazing potential they have. And sheerly through my own experience, through my own path, I have now decided that eclipse windows are the best time to do your shadow work. And shadow work means subconscious. And so the best time to do your shadow healing is in an eclipse window, because it's been, you know, when we heal our subconscious, that's when we create the most transformation in our lives. Shadow healing is about accessing what you cannot see. That's why it's called shadow. And you go into the subconscious and uproot the things that are no longer of service to you, that you are creating from, because your subconscious also manifests as well as your consciousness. And so your subconscious is often the thing that is causing the blocks in your life, the problems in your life, when you're trying to be somebody and you're not quite managing to live those thoughts, words, actions, and vibrations to be that person. So often it's because of what's going on in the subconscious. And so I am a massive believer in the importance of shadow work in terms of creating the life we want, in terms of ascending, in terms of crystallining, because shadow work is also an offering of old energy into a recycling process. That means that energy is actually produced so that you could consciously and actively be part of the crystallining ascension process. And so I am always excited about every eclipse window. This eclipse window is particularly amazing and a clip particularly rare. So I think the next eclipse, I haven't gone that far ahead, Jess, but they're usually about 6 months apart. So the next eclipse window, I believe, is in December. It starts in like mid-December time, but I will have to check that. But yeah, you usually get 2 within a year, maybe November. So that kind of either side of the year. And they really mark the healing journey. Like whatever the eclipse window kind of ceremonially opens the journey until the next eclipse window. And that's why it's I cannot tell you, like when I was, you know, doing a healing the mother wound journey in an eclipse window, the night of the next eclipse, my mum flew to Japan and our relationship had totally transformed and healed. When I was doing a journey last year about exploring the wounds around name, part of this healing I was doing was all about your name. And by the next eclipse window, I was taking on my higher self name. Last eclipse window, I was, the course we were running was called Overflowing with Love. And I am so overflowing and in love right now, especially as we're getting closer to the eclipse window. So it's like they are just amazing, like they are. And I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, actually, of course they're the right time for shadow, because the eclipses are actually created by shadow. Like it's all about shadow, like it just shows you in nature. And they are portals. So what happens in the eclipse window is they're opportunities a portal is an entrance and exit, so it's an opportunity to not take something through. And I'll come on to how you know what to shadow heal, but this particular eclipse window, because of what's going on with Jupiter and the other planets and the planets that are in retrograde and stuff, the theme for this summer is all about freedom. And actually, what happens in shadow work is your life is your map. So if your freedom is restricted with an experience like lockdown, that is the right time to be looking at your wounds around freedom. Those ancestral wounds, thank you, Elsa, it's 14th of December, those ancestral wounds that, you know, have the memory of slavery, poverty, giving power away to rulers, being bound. And so this eclipse window is specifically on a collective consciousness, all about being set free. And generally with shadow work in general, your life is your map. So whatever you're experiencing is the thing that you need to be working on. If it's a block, if it's something that doesn't feel like it's flowing, and you're actually experiencing it so that you can work on it and heal it and purge it. It's coming up to come out, basically. And so the eclipse window opens on June 5th. And it's, you know, it is literally about, you know, what sets you free. How do you be free? What is freedom in the future? What was freedom in the past? And because it's opposite Jupiter retrograde, it's also bringing up a lot of energy around boundaries. And actually boundaries, my guide said today, are the opposite of being bound. This eclipse window is about becoming unbound. And so, and it opens on June 5th with the lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse. And so I strongly recommend being in some kind of ceremony that night. A little bit later on in this webinar, I'm also going to talk about why ceremony is so important at this time. But I really recommend doing some kind of ceremony that is about welcoming more freedom. Because actually, when I tune in about this eclipse window, what I see is that it's like our version of what freedom was actually isn't good enough. We almost have to heal that version and rewrite it for a better version of freedom, because our very kind of consumerist old reality around what freedom was just isn't the potential of what our freedom can be. And so that's really what we've got to be working on at this time. And then on June 18th, the next kind of big date in the forecast, and it's during the eclipse window, because basically part of what makes this eclipse so exciting is an eclipse window is the time that the healing happens. So it's not just when the eclipse happens, there's always a minimum of 2 eclipses, a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. And it's that window of time between them that is the best time for shadow work, transformation and healing. This eclipse window is rare because it doesn't just have 2, it has 3. And the eclipse, the solar eclipse on the new moon happens on the solstice. Which is the solstice, whether it is the winter solstice or the summer solstice, is always about potential. You know, it's about the potential of the longest night or the longest day, the potential of the light. It's about connecting to potential, the promise of the future, the promise of the shift. And so for an eclipse to land on the solstice is rare. But there's actually another eclipse, another lunar eclipse that happens on the 5th of July, 4th or 5th of July, depending on where you are. So it's a triple eclipse. And what my guides say about it is that the first window, so the first half of the window from June 5th right up to the solstice, is the deep purge of all of that, I want to say the word crap, all of that stuff in our DNA, in our psyche, in our shadow, that are the old wounds, traumas, ancestral patterns, beliefs, sacrifices around binds around freedom. And the old Akashic, the Piscean Akashic, is literally going to be pouring out of our DNA. And then the solstice is this amazing opportunity to connect and embody your potential. And then the second eclipse window that comes straight after it, from the solstice to July, is like the attunement into the new Akashic, the new version of what freedom is, the new Aquarian way, that there's going to be such a download of frequencies, such a download of potential energy, such a download of upgrading, essentially. So it's like the first half creates space and the second half activates and fills that space. And that's why it's such an exciting, amazing eclipse window. And within that eclipse window, Mercury goes into retrograde. So the planets, just to explain to you how I see it, is just as the moon pulls the currents of the ocean, the planets in our solar system pull the currents of our consciousness. And different planets are connected to different currents of consciousness, collective and personal. Mercury retrograde is a very common retrograde. Mercury is really about communication. When Mercury and kind of travel and going forwards and action. And when Mercury goes retrograde, we are invited to go inwards and do deeper inner communication, like shadow healing, like really listening to ourselves, coming into stillness, which is just the most incredible power. I am literally on a journey where I'm discovering what stillness really is, and it really is such an amazing thing to do. So on the 18th, just sit in stillness and just meet stillness and discover stillness. And so Mercury retrograde, because it's in Cancer, it's particularly in this case about connecting to your emotions. And your emotions, they are how you purge, they are how you release. So eclipse windows are emotional, but when we actually work with our emotions, like what I was tuning in about for this Mercury retrograde, is it is really time to kind of come into conversation with our emotions. And, you know, if an anger is coming up, understand that anger is an energy of change, and connect to it and ask it, what are you changing? Probably something that is in the way of that crowned feminine that Venus has activated. If you're feeling guilt is the low vibration or shadow version of responsibility. Usually guilt is an invitation to step up into responsibility, even if that responsibility is self-forgiveness. And so as Mercury goes retrograde, it's kind of even more important that we come into this deep and divine conversation, because there is so much potential for such transformation and ascension this June. And then on the new moon, so the solstice is the 20th, and the actual official solstice, although the solstice is always 3 days long, the official solstice is the 20th of June. And essentially it's like an opportunity to absorb and receive more of your potential. That is true for the solstice anyway. When the solstice is on the new moon, it is about birthing into your potential, which is also rare for the solstice and the new moon to be on the same time. I see it as you know, we're in this cocoon mode of lockdown at the moment. And beings that are in a cocoon, they break them, or in an egg, they break themselves out of that cocoon. And I see the solstice as the kind of realization in our consciousness, the receiving of our potential, that we can actually break ourselves out of that which has kept us trapped or bound. And then on the 21st of June, so in that solstice new moon energy, there is also the solar eclipse. And again, it's emotional, it's full of light. It's influenced, the solar eclipse is influenced by Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of law and order and karma. And Saturn has been, those of you that have watched Magic Month will know that Saturn has been such a huge player this year, like such a huge player this year, because humans are breaking out of the old law, order, and karma of the past. And so we're really going to feel that kind of Saturn's about realigning. And so it's like we're aligning into more of our greatest path potential if we choose to take the opportunity. Again, please be in ceremony at sunrise or sunset, or do something for the solstice, for the eclipse, that helps you heal and call in more of your potential. The other amazing thing is that it's by the asteroid that is connected to the new moon solar eclipse is Hygeia. He's hygiene. And so I'm hoping that it's also going to have an impact on the kind of health of the collective in this time of corona and crisis. I'm sure that there will be shifts within that as well. And then straight after that amazing solstice extravaganza, and thank you, Kate, that's wonderful, about Cancer helping with acceptance. And I do think that acceptance is always the way through, especially in terms of shadow work and peace and potential, and the dissolving of old stories and selves. And then at June 23rd, Neptune goes into retrograde. And when Neptune's in retrograde, Neptune's all about dreaming and visioning and kind of psychic and spiritual connection. And when Neptune's in retrograde, all of that stuff becomes stronger. And I would say that this summer it's about really connecting to that crowned feminine and to it's a good time post that solstice to really begin to vision a new world, a new path. The pre-solstice eclipse window is going to help us shed old dreams, manifestations that were created out of fear, dreams that were created out of conditioning, false idols of freedom. And so from June 23rd, it's a really good time to start visioning and manifesting and connecting to what freedom and path and potential actually is. And of course, that whole new, because it's so close to the solstice and the eclipse, that power and that light is just going to infuse through the whole of Neptune retrograde, and that summer journey with it. And then on June 25th, Venus comes out of retrograde and goes direct. And so straight after this kind of dream moment with Neptune, suddenly, finally, there is clarity. Clarity of the heart, understanding of what your Aquarian heart is, understanding of what the crowned feminine is and how to claim it, the realization of self-love and beauty of all of the inner work you have done since the last eclipse, since December. And then if June wasn't important and exciting enough, right at the end of the month, still within this amazing second eclipse window, you've got the second of three really important things that are happening between Jupiter and Pluto are meeting 3 times this year. The first was in April, and the second is later in the year, in November. Now, Jupiter and Pluto meeting is very rare. It doesn't happen very often. It's like every 13 years. Jupiter and Pluto meeting 3 times in 1 year is really rare. And when 2 planets come together, it creates like a ricochet in the consciousness. And Jupiter is the planet of path and abundance. And Pluto is the planet of shadow, death, and rebirth. And what I feel when I connect to this Jupiter powwow, as one astrologer called it, Jupiter-Pluto powwow, is that through all of this incredible transformation, calling in of potential eclipse window energy, just as the eclipse window is coming to its crescendo and its completion, the second one, Jupiter and Pluto are inviting our path and the limitations of our path that were created through all of those binds and all of those things and vibrations that we have just been purging. Pluto's going to bring death to it, to those false idols around abundance, and those limitations of our path, so that we can actually begin to expand into the Aquarian potential of our paths. And so, and I, you know, it's the Jupiter-Pluto meetings are something that astrologers are talking loads about. They're some of the most important things that are happening astrologically this year. So again, it's a really powerful time to be manifesting. It's a really powerful time to be connecting, and it's a really powerful time to be opening up and actually asking for more. This is what my guides keep saying about this time. They're like, when you feel happy, ask for more. What is a better version of happiness like? When you feel abundant, what is a better version of abundance like? When you're feeling good, how can I feel better? It's like we're meant to be pushing ourselves beyond the boundaries of our happiest moments, our wealthiest moments in terms of real wealth, you know, in terms of fulfillment. How can I be more fulfilled? And I think because of that, around that time, especially because it's happening in an eclipse window, we're going to see lots of change again, lots of change in the way things are in our personal lives. Flow into that change. It's your path carrying you. And then, of course, eclipse window ends 4th or 5th of July. Another good time to do ceremony, calling in more potential and Akashic. And I kind of feel like because of that Jupiter-Pluto powwow, the last few days of the eclipse window are really going to be about thinking big for your path and expanding and manifesting your path. And so it is epic, and it's so celebratory, and it's so beautiful, and it's one of those months that makes me so grateful for Magic Month because I'm like, okay, now I know what days I need to be doing what on. And so, and I really think that who you are going to be by the end of June, beginning of July, will, if you work with these energies, because that's the point, is we don't have to, You know, if we do things in divine timing, if we do things in alignment with the planets and the energies and the moon and nature, then it's so much easier than trying to do them just by ourselves. Because you've got these great, enormous planets helping you, helping to pull the shadow out, helping to send the light in. And of course, all of the spirit energies and star ones and those beings that are supporting the earth, they work at those times. They work in flow. And so there is so much potential for more healing, transformation, if you do it in flow with nature, at the time that it's happening for Gaia. Like these pulls of the planet, they are happening for Gaia. The eclipse is happening for Gaia. It's when Gaia does her shadow work. And to be honest, eclipse windows are intense. They bring up a lot of emotion and stuff like that. So they're less intense if you know what's going on. If you work with it and you're like, okay, I'm going to purge, and this is really good because it's all coming up to come out. And so, but through all of it, every time I tune in, because of this second eclipse window, there is just so much celebration with it. And that's what's so beautiful, is it's like not just a normal eclipse window where you're purging and healing. It's like purge and then get filled up with all this glorious good stuff, and purge and absorb more of yourself. And so that is the forecast for everything that's going on in June. There are some things that I want to gift you in this webinar. There's a message that came through yesterday that I think really helped me understand the swinging that I am going through at this time of feeling really good and really great and really positive, and then feeling really griefy and really low. And I feel like I'm really swinging emotionally, and the message that came through that I'm about to share with you really, really helped me to understand that. And I think it's really going to help you to understand what is going on in June in the eclipse window. And so I will share that, but I wanted to ask if anybody has any questions or anything in regards to the forecast. And obviously there is a lot to get in, so I've been speaking quite fast. In terms of the DNA healing, my guides say that the Piscean Akashic is literally being removed from our DNA, and the new Aquarian Akashic is coming in. And so it really is an amazing month to be connecting to destiny, to who the greatest version of you is, and therefore healing everything that's in the way of that. So I don't make a list of the key dates, but we Starlight posts up little videos every day on our Starlight Temple Facebook group. There's always Magic Month gets cut up, and when it's like the eclipse, there'll be a little video about it. So you get it throughout the month. And yeah, I agree, exciting times ahead. And so I'm going to let you know. So for those of you so every eclipse window, I now, because it's been so powerful for my life, hold a course that offers people the opportunity to do shadow healing, to do deep consciousness. Healing is always channeled, and they're always amazing. And the ones for the eclipses last year just brought me and so many other people into states that were beyond bliss, because you just clear so much and then you fill up with so much. And I was guided to work with this freedom thing that's going on in the collective, and that is so astrologically, like if you read any astrology, it's all about freedom. It's all about the winds of freedom, with everything that's going on with Saturn, Jupiter, everything, and obviously being massively reflected in the map of our lives. And so for the eclipse window in June, Starlight, if you are called, is holding a journey called Liberation, which is a temple alchemy journey. Temple alchemy is the most effective thing for shadow work that I know of. It literally activates you with channeled energy and just brings up everything that's in the subconscious, that's in the DNA, and purges it out. And it's a journey that covers that curve of the two eclipses. So you basically go into the deep wounds in the first half, into the purge, but it's very, very beautiful. Like we're working with crystal energies and cocooning energies and loads of, like when I tune into it, it just feels like crystalline kingdom nature healing, which is so joyful for the shadow. And then on the solstice, it's going to be a special sunrise ceremony that's about calling in all of the potential. And then the second half is working with these like beautiful plant medicine frequencies to help the new Akashic and be integrated into the DNA. And I'm really excited about this course. I think it's going to be, firstly, it's the first live course I'm doing this year that's totally live. With Shadow Courses Starlight, we always give one-to-one space holder support, so you're completely supported. There's always a load of magic and synchronicity that happens. And like I said, in last year's Eclipse Windows courses, people were coming into vibrational states that were like beyond bliss, like things that you have never felt before as a human being, as one person described it. And so it's a really, really powerful way to heal and do shadow work. And actually this is shadow and light work, and deep DNA work. And so that is going to be on, if you are called. It really is a butterfly journey into freedom, into Aquarian freedom. And so look out for butterfly signs as a sign. Often people get called to Starlight's courses with signs. If you are called, we would love to have you on this. What feels very, very, like I said, I think out of every shadow journey I've ever tuned into, it definitely feels like the most beautiful and light-filled and yeah, like crystalline, earthy. Like the energies that are supporting it are from like deep inside the crystal kingdoms of the earth. And so you can click the link and it will open in another tab. You won't lose the webinar if you would like to find out more. And one thing Starlight does is we try to keep shadow work and self-work really affordable. And so £15 a day to do your shadow work is really, you know, it's hard to find shadow work for that. And yeah, that is Starlight's main offering. The other thing we are doing is lots of inner discovery journeys that are by donation, which, like I said, I'm doing stillness at the moment and it's totally amazing, and I'm sure we will do one in June, but I don't know when. And then we'll be holding fire ceremony, online fire ceremony for the eclipse, for the 2 lunar eclipses and the solar eclipse. And so there's lots of juiciness happening from Starlight's side, and of course anything you are called to, we would love to have you at. I'm going to read you this message now and then do the card of the month, and then we will go into the final transmission that the guides were talking about at the beginning, which is to help you begin to prepare for this kind of upgrade of potential. And it's with a goddess called Kara. So in fact, I'm going to pull the card of the month first. So the card of the month is purity. And I'm really glad this card was pulled, because purity is about being in integrity with yourself. And all of the misconceptions we've had about freedom mean that as humans we haven't been living in integrity. And it's like, if we want our greatest path potential, we have to walk our path and not be chained to jobs we don't want to be doing, or in relationships we don't want to be in, and so on. Oh, thank you for saying that, Elsa. An amazing, Sharon, that you pulled the card. And thank you, Chess. Oh, it's lovely that you're all saying about Starlight. And really, to live our potential is to live in terms of a kind of more 3D understanding, is to live the pureness of ourselves, to live who we are, to be free to live who we are and live in our pureness. And imagine if all of your creative energy wasn't being spent on people pleasing, or people pleasing society, or people pleasing your ancestors. Imagine if you were just free to be you and create. And this deck is called the Sacred Destiny Oracle. I love them. And so purity, this whole rainbow prayer, solstice extravaganza, June journey is about coming into purity of who we are by releasing the things that have kept us bound away from that purity. And one of the things you can do, even if you're not going to do like a deep shadow healing, if it's not the right time for you, is just try to live in more integrity. Try to be more of your pure self, because that will download more of your potential into you. More of your source self, which is your potential, into you. And so purity is a good question. It's a good time to be asking questions like, how can I live more purely? How can I live with more purity of voice, with more purity of self? And actually, on a kind of Saturn level, just to talk about the forecast, this whole thing of karmic realignment that's going on this year, which I fully believe on a kind of deeper, higher level is why lockdown's happening and everything like that. Karma happens when you're out of alignment, and how you get back into alignment is by being in integrity. And so this karmic realignment can be helped by coming through more purity, not dancing around subjects with yourself or with others, but being you. And again, my guides were channeling about potential, and they were saying that, if you want to live a fulfilled life, you have to be in the full expression of yourself. It is a two-way flow. Until you can be in the full expression of yourself, then of your audibility, of your visibility, of who you are, if you're not doing that, then you will never vibrate with fullness, and therefore never manifest and create fulfillment in your life. And I'll save the message from the card till the end. But let's go into this Kara transmission, and this message about the time of two hearts that we're living in. And what I feel June is going to do is make those two hearts less separated and more united, or even more one, more Aquarian. And so when you are ready, closing your eyes and just allowing all that the forecast is to be absorbed into who you are. Noticing the parts of the forecast for June that are making you tingle with excitement or surge with inspiration. Choosing to be ready for the challenge of this deep transformation process by remembering that you were made for these times. And when you're ready, dropping into stillness. And listening to the message about the time of two hearts. At this time, you are living with two hearts, a Piscean heart and an Aquarian one. The Piscean heart is dying and offering itself to the Aquarian heart that is birthing. Ceremony is the way for these two hearts to communicate, because ceremony is the primal human language. It is the language of symbolism, and symbolism is how you explain. It is how you bridge. It is how you translate meaning. It is how you unite. This is a time of uniting both selves. It is a time of two selves. The primal human language of ceremony is the one that is understood by the Piscean and by the Aquarian heart. In ceremony, they speak together and speak to each other. In ceremony, grief and celebration become two flows of the same energy. Within this flow, the Piscean is able to die and the Aquarian is able to birth. In ceremony, these two hearts are magnetized together. They become a portal of your inner transcendence. Speak the primal language of symbolism as often as you can. Be in ceremony with the moment as often as you can. Set intention for this is how ceremony opens. Give thanks, for this is the simplest way for ceremony to close. Feel within every emotion that is on the spectrum of grief, the sparkle of celebration that is the birth of your Aquarian heart. And allowing whichever part of that message you needed to hear to be fully heard by the parts of you that needed to hear. As you connect to this chamber of light, some of you may be experiencing the sensation of your ears popping as if you are on a plane. This is the sensation of the crystallining process happening that you have now engaged with. It is a sign that your vibration is raising very quickly and that you are becoming more crystalline. Some of you may also be experiencing pressure or tension in the physical body. This too is part of the crystallining process. Expect in June, within the eclipse window, these symptoms to increase as the collective goes into crystallization. But notice that as you soften into the excitement of becoming more crystalline, of embodying more of the light of your soul and radiating it into more of your life, that these symptoms ease. That you are now in flow and not resisting the process that is happening. And connecting to the experience of the two hearts. The Piscean and Aquarian Akashic. That is orbiting within your own heart center. And become aware of this sense of orbiting. Know that. The geometric pattern of this orbiting of two hearts is not dissimilar, but is more complicated, more patterns than the rose of Venus. And know that this is why so many of you are swinging between feeling positive and happy, and doubtful and sad. But understand the human experience of two hearts is rare, and be grateful for this sacred opportunity of the soul. The time of two hearts allows for you to take with you that which you liked about the age of Pisces, that which you gain from it. It allows for less of an apocalyptic collapse of the old and a more steady progression into the new. And this time was commanded by Mother Gaia, because she loves her children gently and wants this process to be as easeful and flowful as possible. And as you connect to this orbiting of the two hearts within your heart center, feel them for this transmission coming into divine alignment, into harmonious connection with each other. and feel as they do the energy of Kara, the goddess of potential, enveloping you in golden folds of sparkling light. Helping you to open up and connect to the potential of your soul. The infinite, unique expression of possibilities. And as the heat in this chamber of light increases, feel this potential energy flooding through the DNA that has been opened up, that has been made more crystalline through this process. Flooding into your heart, increasing your heart's capacity and potential for self-love, for kindness, for trust, and for freedom. As you feel the golden potential energy of the ground, feminine vibrating into your heart, for until the feminine has risen up into sovereignty, the dance of sovereignty and oneness cannot fully happen within the self. The human systems of the earth and the creation of life. And allowing yourselves to open up and connect to what this potential is if you are experiencing burning or tingling. This is simply transformation happening upon old binds within the DNA. For you cannot create with this potential that is transmitting into your heart. With Piscean DNA, you can only create, can only access this potential energy. With Aquarian DNA, and so some of the DNA healing is being gifted to you by the Chamber of Light and Goddess Kara. You have been taught to fear your potential, but it is time to welcome, to open up, and receive, to begin to manifest the greatest potential of your path by asking for more than you can imagine, by asking for happiness that is beyond the happiness you have experienced, freedom that is beyond the freedom you have experienced, power that is beyond the power you have experienced, wisdom that is beyond the wisdom you have experienced. And as you open up and ask and receive, notice what you are experiencing. In the beauty and potential that is happening now. Know that all of the space that has been created in human life and lifestyle has been created because space is how potential enters. And as this transmission completes, Gara lifts that energy up and out of yours, and the chamber of light dissolves. Feel the violet flame coming through you, transmuting all energy that does not serve or belong into love and light. And a golden rain shower of light coming down, taking any energy that is meant to go to Gaia, to Gaia. And a big beam of source light coming in, taking any energy that is meant to go somewhere else as an offering to the stars. Noticing how you feel as you breathe in love And breathe out gratitude, sending your love and gratitude to Kara, to the Palladians or their light chamber, to each other, to all of Gaia, all of light, and all of the great mystery, and all of the universe. And breathing in love and breathing out gratitude. Breathing in love and breathing out gratitude. And when you are ready, opening your eyes and coming in to the room. And just sharing how you feel after that transmission. I guess I feel fuller. I guess I feel more full, more fulfilled. And definitely like higher in my vibration. And there are two things that I would like to close with. The first is, I looked up the root word of freedom, and its very root means love. Freedom and love are the same thing. And I'm so pleased you're excited for Jaya, and wonderful that you've got lots of tingling, Elsa. Just allow that tiredness to be integration. And then for those of you that didn't listen to last month's Magic Month, another really good way to raise your vibration at this time is to hum for 20 minutes. Humming allows you to harmonize into the Eden frequencies, which are the new ascended frequencies. It has to be done for 20 minutes, and it can't be done whilst driving or operating machinery because it zones you out. But just try it. It's amazing. You do the humming and then you just feel like in a totally different vibration, a totally different state. So do remember to hum, because it's another good ascension process. Amazing that your ears were popping, and I'm glad you're excited about the month. And yeah, I had so much heat and so much like DNA burn going on. Good, all good. As the dogs agree. And I am going to close with a message about the cards. So no matter what has happened in the past, everything can be fresh and new again. The purity of your soul is shining through everything you encounter. You are entering a period of grace. Simply open your heart and know that the best is yet to be. The past does not need to equal the future. Your future can and will be shimmering, sparkling, and bright. Old limiting patterns are dropping away. Reoccurring challenges are releasing. This is the time of redemption, forgiveness, and holy healing. How relevant is that card? And so I'm going to put up the offer for liberation again, because I really do feel that it is the right time to be doing the particular shadow work around freedom. It's the most powerful time in the summer to do it, and it does have to be done by all of us at some point. And so if that calls you as the vehicle to hold you while you go on that journey, and we would love to have you on board. And thank you all so much. I love you all, and I wish you such an amazing magical month of June, and I will see you for Magic Month of July. So much love.